Hello everyone, this is Tom from Dirk Witte Music Store in Utrecht, the Netherlands. Today we are taking a look at a very fun little Eastman, but also a very high quality Eastman acoustic guitar from the from kind of like the higher up line, also in a very cool varnish, kind of like an aged relic finish. We're taking a look at the Eastman E22OOSS/V, and V stands for varnish. So like I said, kind of has this relic look. So you've got like, obviously here on the arm resting area, you've got some aging going on, as well as scratches, nicks, dings, kind of all over. And that's also due to that antique varnish finish, which is kind of like this hand-rubbed finish that they also do on their violins, because Eastman also makes orchestral instruments, violins and cellos and stuff, resulting in just a very, very nice feeling acoustic, also very lightweight. So that's also very, very nice. And this is then kind of, also a quite high up line. So with Eastman traditional guitars, kind of like starts at the E1. And so you can probably already guess that the higher up it goes, the more high end it gets. So like with the more high end woods, high end specs. And this one being an E22, quite high up. So a very, very nice little acoustic, kind of based on the Gibson LOO, which was a very, which is a very vintage and traditional model made by Gibson, which was originally made in, I believe, maybe even like the 1910s, maybe the 1920s. But then that body shape is based, or like this body shape is based on that body shape, so it has those very similar dimensions, and also a very like vintage inspired sound because of it. So just resulting in a very high quality and very cool little acoustic made by the fine folks at Eastman, obviously with some very, very high top-notch quality, which we are used to from Eastman at like any price point. So cool guitar. Let's dive into the specs. So we've got an all solid wood construction, again in that very cool looking antique varnish finish. Let me hold that up a little bit closer to the camera. You can see all of that aging. You can maybe also like hear as I like twist the body. It doesn't feel like a glass finish, and also obviously doesn't look like it. But apart from it being a little bit squeaky, it really it's very like resonant, it's very lightweight again, and it just feels like that you're closer to like the bare wood, which you really ideally want, but you still then do get like the protection that a finish gives you, like a lacquered finish gives you. So it won't like ding up like immediately just by looking at it wrong, but it is also just thin enough so that the wood is really free to like breathe and to vibrate, which you ideally want with an acoustic instrument. We have got a solid spruce stout, which is a thermally aged Sitka spruce. Let me correct that. It's a solid Adirondack spruce. So that is very high quality. Adirondack is kind of like champagne. It is like only found in like a certain North American region in the United States as well as Canada. And what then kind of like sets that apart from different types of spruce is that it's quite powerful. It's quite punchy, quite attacky, but still very dynamic and just very rich sounding. Just resulting in a very, very fantastic sound. Obviously it is a sunburst finish, and we've also got some really nice binding, herringbone binding around that top. On the back and sides we've got some solid walnut, which is a very nice sounding tone wood. You don't see it all too often. It's also kind of a little bit of its own thing. It is, I would say, a little bit more dry sounding than like, let's say, mahogany or rosewood. It's not quite like either of them. Obviously it still sounds like a guitar made out of wood, but it really kind of like has its own thing going on as you rehearse in a little bit as I play this thing. But what I can definitely tell you is that it sounds really, really great. And then it is kind of like a natural color. Also got a back strip there and got some, some 4-ply binding there on the back. Got a very plain rosette. And then we've got a fire stripe pickguard, also kind of like a Gibson inspired, really nicely cut. Ebony bridge with ebony bridge pins, as well as a bone through saddle, or like what's called like a long saddle. So it kind of like goes through the bridge as opposed to going into the bridge. So it kind of like slides in there, which is also kind of like a vintage spec. End pin is just your end pin, so no pre-installed pickup, anything like that. Made out of ebony, by the way, that end pin. And moving on to the neck, and that is a mahogany neck with a traditional even C profile. The nut width is 1 inch and 11/16 of an inch. Then the fingerboard is made out of ebony. Also, it features these very nice looking mother of pearl diamond inlay. So it's just like the outlines of the diamond, which I think would only make it more difficult to produce. But it looks really, really nice. And then we've got also a very nice looking slotted headstock, which you also don't see all too often anymore. It's kind of like only meant for like smaller guitars or like smaller bodies on the guitars, for Eastman as well as for like different brands. But it looks very classy, also looks very traditional. Also then has a volute on the back, so that's also very classy looking. And then you've got your logo done in mother of pearl and just a black headstock overlay. The tuners are some, let's see, those are some Open Gear Pingwell V93N tuners. So N, I'm guessing, standing for nickel. And they also look a little bit aged. They just work really, really well. And then last thing to mention, oh, by the way, also got some hand carved scalloped X bracing underneath this top. And then it also obviously comes with a very sweet hard showcase, as you'd like to see on a guitar of this price point. So a very sweet little Eastman guitar. We've had actually a couple of them, but I've never filmed the demo, so I'm a little bit late on that. But yeah, I'm more than happy to play this because it is a very fine little Eastman acoustic. It's not quite parlor, so again, like I said, based on the L Double made by Gibson, so it's kind of resembles like a body size of a Martin 00. That's also why it has like 00 in the name, but obviously it has just a slightly different shape to it, just resulting in kind of like just its own look as well as its own tone. So yeah, a really great tone at that. So let's move on to the playing part and let's actually hear what it sounds like. But first, if you're interested, and it's a very sweet Eastman E22OOSS/V acoustic guitar, be sure to head over to the links in the description for further details. If you enjoyed this demo, be sure to like the video and do subscribe to the channel for more cool weekly demos of very sweet acoustics by Eastman like these, or cool vintage gear, used gear, electrics, acoustics, bass guitars, even all that really cool stuff. Also be sure to like us and follow us on the socials, Instagram and Facebook. Links are also in the description. With all that being said, let's see what this very sweet little Eastman sounds like. Going to be playing you some chords and then some fingerstyle playing so that you can get a good impression of what this very fine Eastman E22OOSS/V sounds like. So let's move on to that part and let's then take it for a spin.
you.